Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am, as always, your GM, Kevin Mears, demonologist, paranormal investigator, and game master for this game of Blades in the Dark. Let me introduce my players. We'll start with Mike. Tell us who you are and who you're playing.
My name is Mike. I'm playing Marcus Metzger,
Okay,
Mr.
and David.
Cutter.
Ah, and David, you want to go next?
That would be Morgan Whisper Rackham, of course, being a whisper.
And Jimmy.
I am playing Ahmed Aikos. He is a spider who is Aruvian.
And last but not least, Amisha.
I'm Amisha. I'm playing Molly Langtree.
And what type of character is Molly?
She is a leech. She
Uh,
is more of an alchemist, druggy type.
for those of you who missed session 0, cutters are your violence types of guys. They tend to be similar to, but not necessarily the same as fighters in D&D. Whispers are your wizards and sorcerers and people that deal with the ghosts. Spiders are your criminal masterminds, your Moriarty type of figures, and leeches are alchemists. They like to make things go boom. So the thing we're not going to get too far into tonight, but I'm going to go over the basics both for our listeners because this is stuff the players should be aware of. Is a big part of the game is what's called factions. There are factions all over the city. Um, Next week we're going to talk about which ones they pick that they're working with and enemies of, but we haven't determined that yet, so we're not going to talk about that now. But I'm going to go over a couple of factions that are the big players in both the area of the city Crow's Perch where their lair is, and in the area of the city that they operate out of, the name of which is currently escaping me. I know it's one of the affluent districts of the city, which makes sense for thieves and and for spies for that matter. So the big players.
I think he got disconnected again.
That was mid sentence that time, too.
The big players.
Oh, good lord, this is not going well.
Players, you say?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. If this happens a third time, I think I'm going to have to call it a night. Something funny is going on with the laptop. But for now, we're good. So the big players in Crow's Perch, where you guys set up camp, are the Crows, which are the used to be the big gang, extortion, drugs, smuggling. The leader of the Crows was recently assassinated. Nobody's quite certain about by who, although most people assume it was the second in command. In that vacuum of power, because they're currently in disarray, two other gangs have risen up. One are known as the Lamp Blacks. The Lamp Blacks used to go, the city at one time was lit by traditional lamps, and their job would be to go around and light them and put them out and things of that nature. When the city moved to electrical lighting, they were out of a job. So they've turned to crime. They are more in extortion, and in particular, they're almost the good guys of the criminal underworld. They do a lot to protect the local people, to try to keep out other gangs. And traditionally, back since they were the legitimate group, they've been fighting the supernatural elements of the city. The other group is the Red Sashes, which are thugs more. They deal a lot in extortion, prostitution. They're known particularly as great fencers. And the three groups are currently duking it out for who gets the biggest slice of the Crow's Perch. No, I'm sorry, Crow's Foot part of the city. In the other part of the city, And if anybody wrote this down, I'd be appreciative because I don't remember off the top of my head. And don't want to go flipping through the book. The two of the biggest players you're going to deal with are one, the city council, which is a combination of the 5 most powerful lord families in the city, all more or less at war with each other. Not publicly, but there's a lot of backstabbing and political bickering and things of that nature. Your patron, Lord Skurlock, is on the council. The rest of them don't like him very much, but he is enough of a potent force that they can't really oust him at the moment. The other big power, which is actually a fairly prominent power throughout the city, is what's called the Bluecoats. The Bluecoats are theoretically cops. Their job is to keep the peace, stop violent crime. In reality, they're just another gang. The people that they protect are the people that pay them, which means they do a lot for the wealthy in the city and very little for anybody else.
The inspectors, those are the ones that do more of the investigating, right?
Yes. The other law enforcement group in the city that's also very prominent in this area is called the inspectors, like Jimmy said. Inspectors are your detectives. They're the ones who actually investigate crime. Whereas the Bluecoats are well known to everybody as extremely corrupt and for sale to the highest bidder. The inspectors are famously incorruptible. They do not take bribes. They will not put up with your BS. They are as close to the good guys as the city has. The other law enforcement group worth mentioning, because it's prominent everywhere in the city, is the Spirit Wardens. They're the ones who deal with ghosts and, God help any if they show up, vampires and other supernatural threats. Nobody knows who they are because they all wear cloaks and bronze masks when they're on duty. The most common thing we'll see them do is they're the ones that when somebody dies, they go out and find the body and dissolve it in electroplasm so they can't come back as a ghost.
With weird, like, ravens that fly in the air to find the body or something, right?
Yes. They have a crematorium. These supernatural ravens perch on the crematorium, and when somebody dies, they fly out to the part of the city where the person died and slowly start to circle where the body is so that the Spirit Wardens can find it. That catches us up because, again, there are a ton of factions in this game, and it's going to take far too long and not be worth the time to go through all of them. The current consideration that you have is jobs. There are 4 jobs to choose from that you know of. Another thing I should point out, because this is important about this game, is it's very much a group building world. You can, if at some point you come up with a job that you want to do, if you guys agree to it, you can all go do your own job. If you look at that map on the Shadows page of claims, if you want to take over another piece of the map, that's a job. And you just tell me what you want to take over, and I'll set up an adventure to do it. So any weird ideas you guys have at any point, if I wind up making an NPC very important, you want to go assassinate him, for example, let me know. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
But at the moment,
I just had an interesting idea.
Yes.
If we could get the Bluecoats on our side, that would be interesting. That might be worthwhile.
That's certainly something to consider. So the current jobs that are available, aside from if you want to try and do something for the Bluecoats or something like that, is a thieving job. Well, actually, there's 2 thieving jobs, I should say. The 2 gangs that are currently duking it out in Crowsfoot both have war trusts. it's been generally made known on the streets that either gang leader will pay you a cut of the money if you steal the other gang's kitty. Each trust should have approximately 12 coins. You as a gang will get to keep 4 of them, which is generally a pretty good payout for a score.
Now, I'm sorry, is that 4 coins that they're publicly advertising, or is that 4 coins after we account for the getting ripped off tax?
That's after any getting ripped off tax.
Okay.
So
what would stop us from just keeping the 12?
That's another option. Although how many gangs do you want to have pissed off at you is going to become the question.
Right.
Because you're probably going to piss off whoever you steal from. And if the other gang works out that you stole it and didn't give them a cut, they're not going to be happy either.
True.
I am not by no means telling you what to do. Just things to consider.
Sure.
Also, either gang, all 3 gangs, because for that matter, the Crows will happily give you coin for intelligence on the other gangs.
Ooh.
And the last job is something your patron wants you to do. Although there's no rush on this. This is something he wants done in the near future. So if you don't do it now, you're fine. Which is, there is a group within the city known as the Dimmer Sisters. It is a weird occult family of an unknown number of sisters. They currently corner the market on the spirit trade, buying and selling of ghosts, and magical favors and talismans and things of that nature. Lord Skurlock, your patron, is looking for intelligence about their mansion. It is in your working area of the city. He wants to know what sort of defenses they have, how many spirits are active, try to get an idea of how many sisters may or may not be present at any given time. It is a very flexible type of goal, because it's how much information can you gather, and how much you get paid is going to depend on how much you can gather.
Okay, so that's an open-ended kind of. That's not necessarily an adventure in and of itself.
Well, breaking into the mansion and looking around is definitely an adventure.
Well, I figured if we did that, we would start with what information we could gather during daylight, or whatever equates to daylight in this universe.
Oh, that's right.
Basically,
permanent twilight.
It's permanent dark. There's only about 20 minutes of dim twilight at sunrise, what used to be sunrise and sunset.
Well, one of the things we might want to consider is, out of the 3 gangs that are vying for supremacy in our area, which one would we like to support, if any? Do we want to support the Crows who had been in charge, or would we like to support, the people with the lamplights, or the other guys there? Because, depending on, we could take a job and who's paying, but who we end up helping could end up determining who ends up in charge and who we end up having to deal with.
Right.
Yes, very much expect that if you get involved in the gang war, your actions are going to shape how it turns out. Because, for example, stealing a large sum of money from one side or the other is going to change that side's ability to fight. As with stealing, if you want to support the Crows, you could potentially plan to steal from both of them.
And then whether we give that money to the other side determines whether one or
Exactly.
both hate us.
Especially given that they wouldn't know necessarily how much money was taken.
Well, there's the getting ripped off, but my characters are always of the opinion that better to be a little bit more straight, just so we get a reputation of not screwing over everybody.
True. I think what is our reputation? Strange.
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly, the Dimmer sisters' job fits well into the reputation of being strange.
Hmm.
Oh, that brings up something else I should mention. So, one of the most important currencies, for lack of a better word, in the game is your gang's reputation. At the end of a job, you gain rep. Rep is good. It helps you advance your gang as a whole. The problem with reputation is people have to hear about the job you did to get any rep for obvious reasons. If no one knows you did it, you don't get any rep. Other people knowing you did it means you're generating heat, which means the law is coming after you.
Any publicity is good publicity, but also bad publicity.
Yes,
Then you have to try to reduce the heat, I guess.
which is an action you can take during downtime.
Right. Okay.
But it is good to know that there's that balancing act. Feel free to discuss,
we could try to chat up the sisters to get them to invite us into their mansion and to have tea with them and try to go a social route.
That's true. I have the ghost sight, so I'll just passively start seeing a bunch of their spirits and defenses without even trying.
We could be pretending to inquire about their services.
We could actually inquire about their services, have a job set up to reduce heat.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, just because we're going to find out things about them doesn't mean it necessarily is going to happen right afterwards. It could be interesting.
That is absolutely a viable plan if that's the direction you want to go.
Do we know what our patrons' intentions towards them are? Like, could we set them up as a partner gang?
That's a good question. You don't know the specifics, but you're pretty sure that no, he's looking to take them down for one reason or another.
Reasonable, given everything else in this horrible world.
Continue to discuss. You don't need me to tell you where to go. This is not that type of campaign. You decide what you want to do.
I think Mike was trying to talk, but he doesn't realize he's still muted.
No, I was just repositioning.
Ah.
I mean, my character personally would love to go after the what sisters?
Dimmer. Dimmer.
Dimmer sisters. Okay, so I would personally love to go after the Dimmer sisters, but I don't want to drive the whole party by the nose there.
I will point out that when you choose a score, the next thing you have to decide is what's called the engagement, which is how you approach it. There are 6 options, which are assault, which is exactly what it sounds like, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport. So a social approach of trying to talk to them and sweet talk your way in is absolutely a viable way to approach this.
Friends, comrades, and fellow criminal scum, are we going to spend session 1 seducing a couple of mages?
I mean, why not?
I'm just there if things go wrong.
Whereas I'm not sure what I should be preparing it in order to do this.
Jimmy, what do you think? Are you good with the Dimmer sisters? Just going to make sure everybody gets a say. Jimmy?
Think you might have disconnected.
That, or I'm wondering if he's frozen. It did seem like he's interested in the plan, so I think we're probably good there.
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
We can hear you now. Are you in for?
I said
dinner?
yes. A social approach would be good with the sisters.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is what's called the engagement roll, which doesn't solve any problems. It just tells you how good your starting situation is. It involves rolling a number of six-sided dice, as you might guess. You get one die for free. Now, the next question is what you're doing particularly bold or daring? Or is it overly complex and contingent on a whole bunch of factors? I wouldn't say that going in and talking with them is really, really bold, but it's not very cautious either, so I'd say that's not going to give you another die. The next question is, does the plan detail expose an vulnerability of the target or hit them where they are at their weakest? You gain another die if the target is strongest against this approach, or lose one if they have wait no.
Yeah, I was thinking to
If they're at their
consort with them.
weakest, you get an extra die. If they're at their strongest, you have special preparations for it, you lose a die. They're not used to people coming to them like this. They usually work through intermediaries. Although it's not bizarre for somebody to come do business with them directly. It's just not usually how people operate. So I'll give you another die there.
We have
two
a
dies.
strange reputation. Of course, we realize how many strings they've pulled.
The question to consider is
Nice.
look over your contacts as a group and individually. Is there anyone there that you think might be able to help make an introduction?
I have a spirit trafficker as a friend.
They would definitely be able to help.
And I have a Blue Coat archivist who may have some knowledge about them.
Okay, so you get another die for the fact that you do have contacts that can help you. And the last question, is there any other elements to consider? Maybe lower difference in tiers? I would say, actually, while they are higher tier than you, which would normally be a penalty, the fact that you have two different contacts that can help you make the approach offsets that. So one of you now needs to make the engagement roll. So you're going to roll 3 six-sided dice and tell me what the highest number you get is.
All right.
Well, should we just go with the first three that David rolled?
I was mostly pushing buttons. Let's actually use the buttons on the sheet so that it gives all the context.
This is a fortune roll if you're looking for something specific on the sheet, by the way.
Fortune roll.
I think that's on there.
Should be. Would this be fortune using consort?
Nope, it's just straight fortune.
Well, like
Roll
3d6?
fortune, number
3d6,
of dice
yes.
3. Done.
Okay, you did it? All right.
So your highest die is a 5.
Ooh.
So I look at the engagement total. A 4 or 5 is a mixed result. So there are 3 positions that you can always start in. There is the best possible situation where everything is to your advantage, which is called control. That requires you roll a 6. Next one down is what's called risky. Most actions, most situations default to a risky situation. And if everything's stacked against you, or you roll a 1, 2, or 3, your highest rolls a 1, 2, or 3, you wind up in a desperate situation. Desperate situations are generally bad, but whenever you make a roll in a desperate situation, you get an experience point for whatever attribute that applies to.
And that's anytime we make a roll, regardless of the outcome.
I'll double check
In a
that.
desperate
Yes,
situation.
I believe it's regardless of outcome.
Well then,
So risky's not too bad. It's like
No, risky
standard.
doesn't give you the experience. It's the desperate that gives you the experience.
Right. But the more desperate it is, the more the consequences could be worse, right?
When do we pick our items?
Oh, that's the next question.
Okay.
Before we get started, I should technically have done this before engagement, but that's okay. So the last question is, what kind of load are you wanting to carry? I will tell you now that your point of entry is going to be that they're currently actually hosting a business party. It's a time where they're bringing in new clients to the house. It's your best chance to engage with them socially, and it'll give you an ample time and opportunity to slip away, look at spirit defenses, and things of that nature. So you have 3 options for your load. Each of you gets to choose what kind of load you carry individually. So if Mike wants a light load, and Dave wants a heavy load, and Jimmy wants a medium load, that's fine. So the 3 options are light, medium, and heavy. A light load lets you carry 3 slots worth of items. Medium is 5. It's on your character sheet. It's like 4, 5, or 6, or 3, 4, and 5.
right, and then we don't check these off until we actually have an opportunity to use them, right?
Correct. You do
Okay.
not need to worry about what you're carrying right now. You decide what you have on you when you need it. Mike, you took mule, so remember you have 2 extra points of load, regardless of what level you come in at. And you guys also took the option as thieves that you can carry 2 points of load as long as it's thieves' tools or something
Tools
spy
or gear.
related. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna take
So
a
that
light
means
load.
even
I
with
figure
even with a light load, we could have those extras from the list,
The thing to keep
like
in
2 of them.
mind with load is it doesn't have it's not like if you're carrying a heavy load you get a -1 die to anything or anything like that. It's a question of in the story, light load means you look like a normal guy walking down the street. You're not obviously like toting around giant guns and other obvious equipment.
say
Medium
hello to
load
my little friend.
would mean that you look like somebody who's looking for trouble. You probably have a obvious weapon or two, heavy arm,
Like
heavy armor.
if they search you, or they could if they're trained, they could spot it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. And heavy
especially
load means you're obviously going out loaded for bear.
Well, if these 3 are going to be the more light-loaded social, I'm going heavy.
If I can
Okay.
quote Firefly, it's the difference between Jane bringing grenades to a bank robbery.
Grenades sure would have been useful.
Yeah.
Which is all
Or-
that you have Amisha's character
or-
for, because
Or let's not
She's
forget
your
Boondock
lead.
Saints and the rope. Wow, you guys haven't seen Boondock Saints?
nope. Although
Nope.
I know a bit about the rope thing from a tabletop game of a game called Witch Hunter: The Invisible World. I played at a convention years ago that was inspired by Boondock Saints, and they kept bringing up the rope. Keep meaning to watch that actually.
You don't need to watch the second one because it wasn't that great, but the first one is it's just beautiful.
Well, I still find it funny that now we're getting off topic, but that's normal for gaming groups. But no, the World War II history class I'm taking, as our icebreaker question, since it's an online game class, we all had to post about if you flunked your history class, and the gods of history are angry and have condemned you to a desert island all by yourself. But in their mercy, they let you take 1 DVD player and 3 DVDs. But the only movies the gods of history own are World War II movies. what 3 movies do you take? Which leads me to the instant problem of I don't really watch that many war movies.
30 dozen Hogan's Heroes and Kelly's Heroes.
I wound up going with Schindler's List. Not technically during the war per se, but it's close enough. Conspiracy, which is a brilliant movie if you haven't seen it. It is about the Wannsee Commission where they decided how to handle the final the Jewish problem. I particularly like it because Kenneth Branagh is one of the main characters, and there was a very deliberate choice by all the actors involved that none of us are going to try a German accent. We're going to use our natural accents. And the reason for that was if Kenneth Branagh spends the entire movie trying to do a German accent, then people are going to be thinking about, oh, what a good or terrible German accent Kenneth Branagh can do, when they really wanted people focusing on the storyline. And the last movie was a toss-up, but I ultimately went with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. My second choice was actually going to be Captain America, the First Avenger.
I think I'm gonna go with a light load with
Okay.
with those additional things. That seems good.
Good choice. So that gives you, I want to say 5, the extra 2.
Yep.
Amisha, how about you?
I'm debating between a light load and a medium load. Just trying to think how off am I going to look with a medium load.
You're going to stand out. I mean, not as much as Mike is going to stand out, given he's showing up like a soldier, although you could potentially offset that by saying he's your bodyguard.
That's exactly what I was.
Isn't there
say.
something like a bandolier you can carry your alchemy in?
Yep, she has a bandolier on him that I think she gets for 0 load, in fact.
We're here to offer our services. We're just showing off our equipment.
We're owl exterminators.
Okay, so make sure you're going light or standard. Do, 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 do. Okay, we'll come back. David, which one are you going with?
Definitely going light. I'm there to focus on the social and the perceptive aspects. I do not want to deal with extra scrutiny today.
Fair enough.
I think I'm going to do a light load as well.
Light, heavy. The tank. In more ways than one.
It's like when I go to conventions with my wife, I call myself the Sherpa.
Oh, I miss conventions.
In the before times.
Yeah, before Jeff Mock, the guy who ran most of the conventions I went to, turned out to be, oh boy, let's not go there. If you're curious, I'll tell you the story offline, but I don't want to get into drama on the channel. It's not good, I'll leave it at that. At any rate, you guys roll up. The party is starting just after twilight. You come up to the house. It is your classic old spooky-looking Victorian mansion. All lit up very brightly. This is something you don't see in Crowsfoot because Crowsfoot people are poor. They use candle. This is a much more affluent part of the city, so the streets are all lit. The house is lit up. There's gas line or electric lights, I should say, in every room. You can see people milling about inside. You come up to the doors, and there is a. Actually, what is the skill I am thinking of?
So I was thinking of having a fine cover identity and a fine bottle of whiskey as a gift.
Okay, which are loads. You don't have to worry about those until you actually need them.
Okay.
Which may come up now.
Yes.
Because at the outside is a pair of what at first appear to be ordinary humans. They look like they are from Scoval, from the Empire. As you come closer, actually Morgan, our Whisper, particularly notices there's no light in their eyes. They are dead. As the rest of you get closer, you all notice this by virtue
Fascinating.
of the jerky movements. They're essentially what are called hulls. Hulls are not actually technically dead. They are living humans who have voluntarily gone through a process that removes and destroys their soul. They are essentially, in the voodoo sense of the word, zombies. Except their souls are destroyed, usually destroyed. You don't know it for sure in this case. Dimmer Sisters do weird things. But their souls are currently not in their bodies. Their bodies are just automated by electroplasmic energy.
And they're like host bodies for spirits sometimes?
They can be. These are not. These are just automatons.
Okay.
You notice as you come up, you see a very elaborate carriage pull up in front of the house, and nobles come out of the carriage. The carriage is very typical for the city, is being pulled by a team of very large goats. There are horses in the Shattered Isles, which is the name of this world, but they are very, very rare. Most situations where people would use horses in our world instead use goats, which are larger than normal Earth goats and stronger, but just as cheerful and pleasant in disposition, if not more so. They walk up to the automatons. The automatons extend their hand, and the people hand them pieces of paper and are allowed inside. You're up. What do you want to do?
Oh no, this party was invite only.
Well, this seems like a good time for a flashback to get our hands on some of those invitations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Who wants to do the flashback?
Somebody's good at counterfeiting, I suppose.
There's a couple
No,
of
no,
ways
no.
to do it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
I was gonna say I've got that spirit trafficker friend, and we're here with a Whisper. We're here for a job, supposedly. So Flint, I hear the Dimmer sisters are having a shindig. What's the chances you could hook your old friend Morgan up with a couple of invites?
Would that fall under items, documents, invite, or purchase it, or?
You could try to purchase it at the moment. Morgan is trying to wrangle one out of his contact.
Okay.
Morgan, I will have you make a roll on. Seems like sway would be
Alright.
appropriate here because he is a friendly contact. Roll an extra die.
Is this a controlled position?
Yes, it is a controlled position. Let's click over to the screen.
Effect seems like a standard effect, I presume.
Yeah, it's a standard effect. Okay, that reminds me. Thank you for pointing this out. So there's a couple of options people have at the moment. David can spend 2 stress and get an extra die to roll. Somebody else can decide to offer to help David by spending 1 stress to give him a die to roll. You can also David can either spend 2 stress, or somebody else can spend 1 stress to boop it from a standard effect to a great effect. The other option is you can take a devil's bargain that you can then use to get either the die or the bump up in effect. Let's see, what would be a good devil's... Okay, I'll make it real simple. The devil's bargain here is going to be that he wants a favor to be named later. It's not like a life or death favor, but it's something that's going to turn into a mission down the line. But it is going to be a mission that pays.
I like missions that pay, but you know what? I'm just gonna go with the regular die for now.
Okay.
I could spend a stress to assist to make the effect greater.
It's up.
Sure.
Okay. How are you assisting to bump up the effect?
I will. I suppose I would cohort to try to make the guy like us a little better.
More specifically, what are you doing? Not just don't talk in terms of skills. Talk in terms of
Okay.
role playing.
All right. I'll be like, well, yes, this. I believe this will work out for the best in the long run. You know, this. Could I take the devil's bargain?
Yeah, it's gonna be unless somebody has another suggestion. Actually, he has a job for you to do at the party specifically.
Ooh.
There's an item he wants you to steal.
Well, now it's
Very
a
well.
If you
party.
take the bargain,
Yes.
you have to steal the item whether he gives you the documents or not. It's basically the price of getting him to see what he can do because he doesn't have the documents on hand, but he's going to need to call in a favor with some friends, and he can definitely get them to you on time. It's
All right.
whether or not you got to pay for it or not that's in question.
Yes, that sounds good, for we do intend to go to the party. What
Okay.
item do you seek?
It is a small purple gem. You should find it in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Whatever you do, do not touch it with bare skin.
Understood.
You'll know it when you see it. It should be the only purple gem they have. He also can sketch you a rough map of basically you go up to the second floor, it's 3 doors down on the right type of situation. You know where you're looking for it.
Very good.
Okay, David, give me a roll. And you get the great effect because of that situation.
Controlled position, great effect, bonus die 1, and uh-oh.
You failed.
Hmm.
You really failed.
Is there anything we could do to offset the failure?
Is your consort or command any better than your sway?
My consort is a 2.
David, specifically.
Nope, my consort's a 1 and my command is a 0. Although I do have an alternative option if we couldn't get those actual invites.
Which is?
Can I mark?
Did somebody sign up? What happened? That's just weird. Okay, if you're listening, everybody just disappeared. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, that was extremely strange.
Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, okay, we're all here. As I
Yes.
was saying, would this be a point at which I could mark load? Because what I want to do is bring a spirit bottle and have a bound spirit on hand to override one of the door guards. Because if they're soulless husks, I assume I can do that. I would like to ghost hack the guards.
That's an interesting plan. So here's what's going to happen. He spends a bit of time reaching out to contacts in the city, and the reality is he just can't get the documents in time. When you run by this Plan B by him, because he would be an obvious person to talk to because he deals in spirits, he actually has a trapped spirit he is willing to loan you in exchange for retrieving the gem already discussed. What happened? He will recollect it afterwards, so you don't have to go try and figure out how to get it back.
Okay.
I will point out. Assume that this is the making your lives more complicated, given you really failed that roll.
Yep.
But I don't think you don't get critical fails in this, right?
No, you do not get critical fails, but you still failed about as completely as you can.
Hmm.
Okay, so we
Now-
cut back to the present. I just want to check real quick. Mike and Amisha, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay, with whatever the heck kicked everybody out of the room, I just wanted to be sure.
I think it was that hour timer thing.
No, that only affects streaming to YouTube.
Okay.
I mean, I've sat in. I've used Jitsi a lot of times for doing the show, and I've sat and had 3-hour conversations with guests nonstop that it doesn't count. It only times out when you're streaming. It'll let you keep talking for hours on end. I've done it.
Mm. So you're recording and not streaming?
Correct.
Okay.
And even that wouldn't have booted you all out. It would have you just all would hear live streaming has stopped. Which is a useful feature is that it just does when you start the stream, live streaming has started, and then when it ends, live streaming has stopped, so everybody knows.
So do you have to attune the spirit into the body, or just open it near the?
He's going to want to make an attune roll, yes.
All right, they're gonna make an attune roll.
Yep.
This seems risky. Popping open a spirit bottle, shaking a guard's hand.
Well, it was risky to begin with.
Standard effect.
As far as you know.
Be right back.
All right. 4 and 4.
4 and 4. Which means that it worked, but there's essentially some sort of hiccup. Although, again, you or somebody else can also spend stress to give yourself another die or bump effect. That's always... Or take a Devil's Bargain. That's always the case.
So a success with a consequence.
Yes, which we're getting to. You get over to the guards and you shake their hands and you're talking to them. They put out their hands for the invitation, which is the point that you looking around, making sure nobody's watching, surreptitiously open the spirit bottle. You all see a little wisp. It almost looks like lightning come out of the bottle, hit one of the two holes in the solar plexus, and for a brief moment you see the eyes light up again because there's now a spirit in the body. And the whole looks around. He looks at four of you, and then he steps to the side to let you pass. The other Cole just kind of looks confused, but they're simple, mindless automatons. It also steps out of the way. You may now enter the building.
All right, let's do that thing.
Congratulations,
Thank you, good
guys.
sirs.
I opened the door.
All
right,
Head
no,
on
this
in
is
like
a
we're
heist
supposed to be
movie.
there.
The
David,
appropriate
you may
word is we're in.
take a point of experience.
All right.
I do not remember the attribute that attune goes under, but it'll go under into that attribute.
Oh, those are experience markers for attributes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they are. When it fills,
Uh,
you get to put a point in one of your skills.
Everything I've rolled tonight so far has been resolve. So,
In this case, you only have the 1 point there
all
in
right.
resolve so far. Actually, because you solved the problem using spirits and magic, you can also take a point in your tracker for your entire playbook, which would be down near the bottom.
All right.
You guys walk into the house. There is a large parlor. It has a lot of very expensive and old-looking antique furniture. There's a big painting on the wall across from the doorway that shows the city at night the way it must once have been. The moon is much smaller than you're used to, proportionally to the rest of the painting, and the sky is full of twinkling stars. Looking at it, you're taken aback a little because the stars actually seem to be twinkling. When you get closer, you notice that it's basically little bits of what look like glass worked into the painting that are reflecting the light off of the electric lamps. Um, the room is full of various guests as well. All of which, most of you fit in okay. Um, although they are definitely nobles. Mike is getting a lot of side eyes because nobody else here is dressed as heavily or is as carrying as much stuff as Mike is by any stretch of the imagination. Um, you have no idea which of any of these people are among the Dimmer sisters. What do you
Well,
want
I
to
Does
do?
suppose
anyone
there's.
seem to be a host or hostess that is everyone's sort of crowding about to talk to?
Not at present, no.
I suppose one of the first things to do is to chat up who is here.
Yes, I would like to do that as well.
Okay, give me a study roll. Both Amisha and Jimmy can both do this. You're both looking around the room trying to see who you can speak to.
Oh, okay.
All right, so risky, controlled, desperate.
Risky.
Uh, aren't you supposed to be able to use any of the things?
Yes, you can suggest something else if you wish.
I was thinking consort to consort with the people around the area to see to listen in the conversation, to interject it at the correct points, and to basically kind of weave my way through the conversation to pick up who is who.
Yes, you can absolutely do that. If you start with a study roll, it is going to be a controlled situation because you're just surveying things before you go up and start talking to people. If you do a consort roll, you're just going up to complete strangers, and that is going to be a
Okay.
risky situation.
I'm
Either
All
will be
right.
little effect.
All
If
right. I
other
have two
people
in
want to try
consort.
something, hold on. If other people would like to try something, they are also welcome to do so. Mike, you were going to say something?
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just going to move off to one side of the room and just glower at a door. Stay near a doorway and glower.
Okay, David, do you want to try anything?
Morgan's just going to be hanging on Marcus's arm, taking in everything with the ghost mind, trying to observe whatever spirits are floating about. And it's kind of feigning just wonder at whatever pretty sights their mortal eyes can pick up on.
Okay, so
Okay.
Jimmy, you want to give it a consort roll?
All right. So let's see. So 2 dice. I'm at the dice roller. Is there a different spot to do it?
Well, you're going to roll 2d6, not 1d12.
Wait, I haven't rolled anything yet.
I know you
Here's
rolled
2d6.
1d12. I'm looking at it. Okay, so you got a limited, or you got a success with a consequence.
Okay.
Speaking of it, what effect should I put down?
What would you? I'm sorry. What was that, hun?
Effects, standard, limited, extreme, zero.
Also standard.
Now I need to decide on bonus dice.
You can spend stress. Somebody can else spend stress to help you, or you can take a devil's bargain.
What does stress do again?
When you gain 12 stress, you gain a trauma. Trauma will be descriptive words that about your character. Trauma has two effects. One is that having a trauma gives you a new way to gain experience points by making whatever the trauma is that you choose complicate your character's life. The other consequence of trauma is that if you accumulate 4 levels of trauma, you're too shell-shocked to continue to play and your character retires.
Now, when you gain 1 trauma, doesn't that temporarily remove you from the game? Or the heist?
I'd have to look that up, but you're all a long way from. You all currently have 0 stress. One of you did spend stress, but you're still a long way from 12.
Okay.
So it would be 1 stress for 1 bonus die, correct?
It is for you to do it. It is 2 stress. For someone to help you, it is 1 stress. For the person who helps you, but they also have to explain how they are helping.
I'll just spend stress.
Okay. 6. You got the most effective possible result, short of a critical.
Yay!
Okay, Jimmy, you are working. I will deal with you each separately. Jimmy, you are working your way through the room, shaking hands, meeting people. You notice there are a couple of important people here. None of the city council are here, but like the secretary to one of them's here, and personal assistants and things like that.
I'll make note of them. Yeah. All right.
You definitely, talking your way through the room, have noticed that none of the sisters have actually made an appearance at the party yet. As far as anyone knows, they're all upstairs. Waiting, it's assumed waiting to make some kind of grand entrance.
All right.
2, you notice that a figure in the corner eyeballing you. Hard.
Uh-oh.
Very well.
Misha, working, listening, watching what's going on, you notice the figure that is watching Jimmy's character. There's something decidedly off about them. And after a moment, you both notice the figure turn and walk into a wall.
Ah. Like a ghost.
Yes, exactly like a ghost. David, you are particularly surprised because you also see this figure walk into a wall, but before they did that, they did not appear to be a ghost, even with your spirit abilities.
Okay, how much? I'm gonna have to ask a setting question here. How much magic is there? Like, would it be more reasonable to assume that we're looking at some kind of empowered but living person, or a spirit with stealth powers?
Like astral projection?
No, not even astral projection. Like, do there exist spirits that could evade my senses? Do there exist, wizard style mages? I guess.
Off the top of your head, you're not familiar with either. It's something you could certainly devote some time during downtime towards researching.
I feel like we're about to find out in a not fun way. Let's go.
Certainly, off the top of your head, the Dimmer Sisters do in fact specialize in spirit magic. So, and they're one of the more powerful people that deal in spirit magic in the city, which means if anybody could figure out how, it's probably them.
Okay.
Nobody, other than the four of you, nobody else seems to have noticed this figure walking into a wall.
That or everyone else is pretending not to care.
Also possible. Though Misha with a 6 is actually pretty sure nobody else noticed.
Okay then.
So I did not notice, probably.
No, you did actually notice.
Okay.
If you didn't notice, Morgan would have actively pointed it out to you. Like, hey,
Fair enough.
that wasn't a ghost.
What do you want to do?
Suppose we should take our seats and be ready for them to make their grand entrance.
I sense a trap. Okay, did anyone else take a light load? Like, can the least threatening looking of us just act over eager and go upstairs to look for him? Totally
Everyone
not
except
looking for a
Mike
gem.
took light load, by the way.
Good.
Also, I don't think that's going to be done in a way that isn't incredibly suspicious.
You could certainly try. And you can make a roll to try, for that matter. It's up to you as a group.
Anyone want to join me in attempting to look rude instead of suspicious?
I was thinking of actually giving our hostesses a fine bottle of whiskey as a gift.
There we go.
If anybody does want to try sneaking around upstairs, the usual way to do sneaking, although you can make arguments for other abilities, would be prowl. Another one that works reasonably well for obvious reason is hunt. But again, you can make an argument for almost anything, depending on how you're trying to sneak.
Oh, we're trying to look for something, and our excuse is we're being rude rather than suspicious if they do catch us. So that sounds like hunt to me.
That's a fair argument. Do you want to take a devil's bargain? Let's see.
I'm sorry, I don't see hunt on the sheet.
It's
It's
under
under
insight.
Oh, the very first one. Does anyone else have a better hunt? I've got nothing.
I have survey.
I have one in hunt and prowl, but I'm also the most obvious.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say if we just walk upstairs with a guy ready to roll, we're definitely.
I have survey.
Survey might help you try to find a less obvious route upstairs, because there's the grand stairway that goes up, but that's pretty much in the middle where the party's going on, so everybody's going to see you unless you're really, really sneaky or there's a diversion.
Are there Wait, staff.
A diversion, I could do that.
Yes, there is.
Hey, look, it's distraction.
There are wait staff. They are more holes. The zombies.
I'm thinking that I could do a diversion if someone wanted to,
Well,
to try to sneak up.
Here's the thing, and since we have a little bit, since we at least knew what type of house they lived in, I assume we would have gone over this in our planning phase. But it's a
The
Victorian
blueprints
house.
they gave us.
Yes,
Ugh.
it's a Victorian house. It almost definitely it almost certainly has a back servant staircase. You have the grand foyer staircase for the public, but there's almost definitely going to be at least one, if not more, depending upon the size of the house, servant staircases that would be used to carry things around in a more hidden manner.
That's extremely logical reasoning and almost certainly true. You could also, for that matter, cut back to make a flashback scene where you went to records and found a map of the house and know where the staircase is if you wanted.
Now
Yeah,
they drew out some sort of a map for us, right?
Which is which is a very rough map going from the main staircase.
Hmm.
But yeah, we would want to cross-reference that with real. Of course, it won't have any of the undocumented changes, but it'll at least be a start.
Okay, so who wanted to go try and get a copy of the map?
Now I do have an item called blueprints that I could have.
So you could you could also just grab blueprints and that could be what you're going by.
Yeah.
For the cost of whatever load it costs to have those blueprints.
All right. Yeah, I have blueprints already. Very good. So we should know the way.
Okay, you guys managed to step into a side room because it's a fairly big house. So there's a couple of rooms off of the main room where the party's going on. There are other people in other side rooms, so you're not sticking out like sore thumbs here. But it gives you a chance to have a little bit of privacy while you look over the map. And yes, Mike's assumption was correct. There is a side stairway going up.
And in some of the flashback of planning, I'm also going to say, remember, if you get called out somewhere, you're looking for the shitter.
Shitter's clock.
David, give me an attune roll.
Attune, you got it. Yeah, given Ghost Mind and would I get that plus 1d? That's plus 1 die when gathering information about the supernatural.
Yeah, you get the plus 1d here.
All right. And we've got 3.
It was actually risky, not controlled.
Should I re-roll that or does?
No, it doesn't change the die roll.
Okay.
Okay, you don't notice anything.
Famous last words
Of what's going on. On the other hand, looking over the blueprints, you notice that where the figure walked into the wall, there should be a doorway there.
So maybe the figure is perfectly normal and it's the door that isn't there.
Possible.
Definitely want to bring that to everyone's attention. It's like, hey guys, Got a bit of weirdness going on here.
Okay. Time for things to get interesting. The lights just went out.
It was a trap. I called it.
You can hear a lot of screaming and shouting from the main room.
Who brought guns?
All of you can have brought guns. Those are in your equipment item lists.
Right now, I'm feeling like light might be a slight bit more important right now.
As a matter of
I,
fact,
I have it on my item list, a lantern, so I'll just select it as I'm carrying a lantern under my coat.
you're carrying a lantern with all your guns. I'm just gonna pull out a pistol, cock it, and be like, "Called it."
I'm assuming Mike's got some sort of harness situation going on with pockets and things of that nature. You just can extract the lantern from one of them.
He looks like a 90s superhero.
Do you look out into the main room?
I guess I'm still in the main room.
Well, no,
I
you're in
wasn't
this
the
little
one that
side
wandered
room. Oh, I thought you were. I had assumed everybody had gone together with and was in the alcove.
Oh, if
My
we were,
mistake. That's
I-
fine. But let me roll back
I
what's
was-
going on based on the fact you're still in
Okay.
the main room. So, Mike, before you light the lantern, and you don't have to take it as equipment unless you choose to after you find out the next thing.
okay.
You just see this cloud of grayish blue mist roll down the stairway with little crackles of electricity shooting back and forth through it. And it just fills out the entire room. As you stand, and it's not doing harm to your character by any means. Although the hairs on the back of your arms are starting to stick up. Because
While it's dark, I'd like to try to go into that stairway or entrance door that fellow disappeared into.
okay, which requires you to come out of the alcove you're in and go through in the main hall through another door, which will be quite easy to do because people are a little distracted. You will also notice this electrified mist energy flowing down the stairs. As you walk out into the main hall, and Mike, while you're standing in the main hall, you hear voices. Not partygoers, voices just at the edge of what you can hear. But they sound familiar, and they're coming from all around you. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna just check my pockets and get ready for shit hitting the fan, just in case.
Okay. Who was
And
heading
I would
for the
covertly
stairs?
go into up the stairs or up the whatever that thing is, the doorway, and see what's on the other side. The wall doorway.
Okay, you come to the wall, and it looks like a relatively ordinary wall. You want to reach out and touch it? What do you want to do?
Yes, I want to try to move through it if I can.
Actually, yes. As you touch it, your hand passes right through. You realize as you step through, essentially, it's a trick that's being done with mirrors. Not magic, just a bit of stage trickery.
Not magic, but
Yes.
Ma-
Are there
Prestidigitation.
stairs? Are there stairs to go up from there?
No, but it does connect to other rooms, and from what you saw on the blueprints, you could figure out where the side stairs you're looking for is.
I would head that way.
Okay, you're heading for the stairs. David and Misha, what are you doing?
That's a good question.
You can also start to hear the whispering that seems to be coming out from out in the main room.
Suppose light a light and follow the whispering.
Okay, and David.
I'm just gonna follow the whispering. I'm definitely taking a pistol because I'm expecting shit to get real now. But yeah, am I aware of any of the supernatural entities?
Yes, I'm not even going to make you roll for it in this instance. You're standing in a small mist of electroplasm. It's not dangerous, but there's enough low-level spiritual energy that tends to do funny things to your perceptions. The whispering is essentially a hallucination.
Is it almost as if someone had opened a portal to the ghost realm?
Nothing quite so dramatic.
Okay.
But as you're all standing, waiting to see what happens, Jimmy, I'll come back to you.
All right.
You notice this globe of light come down the stairs and then slowly resolve itself into 6 figures. All appear to be women. And they've got hourglass type of shapes, but they're in long black dresses, very much reminiscent of what someone would wear to a funeral, and black veils that completely cover their face. When they reach the bottom of the stairs, all 6 of them in unison say, "We bid you welcome," and the lights come back up.
Oh,
Okay then.
Jimmy,
Yes.
you get up to the top of the stairs.
I would
fir-
try to make my way to where that third door was from where the other stairs would have been.
Okay, that's actually pretty easy to do. You know where you're going. You notice it's very cold up here.
All right. I do have a dot and a tune. With that,
You can give me a roll.
gain. All right, and I have.
Hold on. I have a devil's bargain
Okay.
to offer you.
Yeah.
If you haven't already guessed, yeah, there's a spirit up here. Actually, there's several spirits up here. But there's a particular spirit you're going to wind up interacting with. I'm going to argue it is the spirit of a rival that has died sometime in the past. Somebody, maybe you killed them, maybe you just kind of screwed them over in a business deal, but there's somebody particularly unhappy with you.
And what is the part of that I like?
It's a devil's bargain. You can either take a increase in effect or an extra die.
I have arcane implements. Will that help?
It might.
Okay.
If you want to use your load to have them on you.
Yeah. All right. So what would that give me?
Okay. Are you taking the deal or not? Is the first question. Jimmy?
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. No to the deal.
Okay.
What can the arcane implements do for me?
I'll raise it from a limited to a standard effect.
Okay. And I'll take 2 stressed and give myself an extra die.
Okay. So roll 2 dice. 2d6.
Okay. All right. Let's see. 2d6 would be right here.
So 4. You always take the higher roll.
All right.
which means it works, but something complicates the situation.
All right.
So yeah, you can with your limited awareness of the spirit world, you can tell that there's a couple of spirits up here watching you.
Hmm.
Most of which
Oh.
actually, that's exactly what I'll do. I'm going to implement another standard part of Blades in the Dark, which are clocks. Let's see. Oh, I thought the clocks were here.
Goes the clock.
Here we go. So it is going to be a 4-tick clock that is going to represent how aware of you the defensive forces in this place are at the moment.
Okay. I would like to slip into the door when they're not looking at me per se.
Okay, so I created that. I gave it 1 tick. I'll switch you all to here so you can keep track of it. They're not paying that much attention, so it's not too hard to get past them.
Okay. If I get inside the room, I would look for the purple gem.
Okay, you're gonna have to use an action for that.
Okay.
Survey, study are the most obvious. You could try something else. Oh, take a point of experience in the relevant attribute for that as well,
Okay.
because that was a desperate situation.
All right. I'll go with survey.
Okay, survey. You can go ahead and give me a roll.
All right. So let's see. So I'll go ahead and
Hey.
Okay, so was that 1d6 at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. You look through the room. There's actually a couple of gemstones laid out on various tables. In fact, it seems to be basically a display room for these gemstones, but it's relatively easy to go red, pink, blue. There's the
purple one. Yes.
when you notice an arcane sigil around it that would set off some booby trap. You might be able to disarm it, or you want to try to get help. So, we'll cut the action down. Thick Sister, disperse. Dave, Amisha, and Mike, what would you like?
Kinda wishing I was upstairs with Jimmy.
I mean, you could go upstairs. I'm debating it right now.
What'd you say?
It's a good idea to split the party, like right now.
It's always a good idea to split the party, right?
Well, I mean, Jimmy's already all the way up there.
I know. I'm like, so think of all the time it's good again.
Well, remember
I
the
did
other
not
part
catch
of
any of
the
that.
mission. There's the other part of the mission, getting the info on the people.
Well, I guess we're gonna go up and schmooze. I'd like to see if they have any sort of attendant spirits or obvious supernatural effects on their person directly.
You can do that a couple of ways. The obvious way would be to
Oh, you cut off there.
Yeah, he keeps cutting in and out.
Ugh.
Yeah. I can't hear anything.
Kevin, we can't hear you. Ah. We see you.
No audio. Go ahead and say something.
thing. Can you hear?
Now we can.
It's jumbled.
It's coming and going.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I can hear you in the other room, but I can't hear you over the thing.
We can see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh,
Good. Haha.
given this is happening for some stupid reason, and it's 9 o'clock at night, which I know is usually when Mike, you, and other people usually need to get going. I think we're gonna call it a night, and we'll pick up next week.
So part 1 of session 1.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
sounds
this,
good.
this is
Part
session
1 of the
next time is
first
session
heist.
2. It's another heist.
Yeah.
It works. Session 0 had part 1 and part 2.
Yep, except this one was 2 weeks.
To be continued. ...
Does everyone have Skype?
Yes.
I could get
I've done
Skype.
it before. I could install it again.
David, do you have Skype?
Begrudgingly, yes.
I'm thinking it might be better to switch to Skype or, God help me, Discord. I can still record from there, and hopefully
I already have Discord.
I just really hate Discord. We'll figure it out in chat.
All right.
But that's going to do it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week when we'll be doing another episode. Tune in as well tomorrow to my other channel, Paranormal Encyclopedia, where my co-host and I will be talking about something. Don't ask me what. We haven't figured that out yet. But that's going to do it for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. And that say, have a good evening, and may your 20s always be natural. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Night.
Stream.
Bye.